Welcome to Reiki Banashi, a podcast where we explore Reiki in a simple way. I'm your host Inina, practitioner and teacher Shihan of Jikiden Reiki, traditional Japanese Reiki. And through this space, I share reflections and real-life experiences from the Reiki path. Today, I have the pleasure of welcoming Kausolya. She is a Jikiden Reiki Shihan living in McKinleyville, California. And I had the joy of meeting her along with Amanda Jane and Silke Kleman in Kyoto at the Jikiden Reiki Institute during a seminar with Tadao Yamaguchi Sensei in 2023. And it was such a wonderful moment to connect with her there. Kausolya has been practicing Reiki since 2007 and has a truly inspiring Reiki journey. She also offers sound healing and past life regression sessions, and we'll have the chance to explore these beautiful topics together in this episode. I'm so happy to share this conversation with you. So make yourself comfortable and let's get started. Konnichiwa, Kausalya. Yokoso. Welcome to Reiki Banashi.
Thank you so much for the invitation. Thank
You're
you.
so welcome. I'm so happy to have you here. It's a great joy to have you with us today. And so, o genki desu ka? How are you today?
Good. Genki desu ka?
Yes, I'm good. Genki desu, genki desu. Oh, so you
Yeah,
know a
very
bit.
good. I forget the answer. Is it genki? Genki?
Desu.
Desu. Genki desu.
Genki
Yeah.
desu.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
so that reminds me that we actually met in Kyoto the first
We
time, right?
did.
It was actually once, but it felt like we met each other already before,
I
right?
know. I think I think that's what I love so much. It's like
Hmm.
another family, you know?
Yeah.
It's wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, our community is really heartwarming, and every time that we gather, maybe in congresses, seminars, that time was a very interesting seminar, right? Like with Tadao Sensei, and so it was my Shihankaku training, and there was all these teachers and students from all over the world. And I received Reiju from so many teachers. I was so happy that I was still not a teacher yet, so that I could receive
Yes.
so
I
many
think we
Reiju.
had like 13 or something. We had a lot.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. That
Yeah. It
was
was wonderful. Yeah.
mind-blowing for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
precious moment. And yeah, of course, gathering with everyone from all over the world. And also here, also there in Kyoto, in that house is, yeah, it's
It's
something.
amazing to
Yeah.
be in a place where Kyoko Sensei taught and lived, and to have it continue and carry on there is just, it's so wonderful. I
Mm.
think sometimes people don't quite, like, they don't understand that until
Yeah.
maybe after, and then they're like, oh, that's where I was. And it's just so amazing to
Mm.
just be in that space.
It
Yeah.
is. It really is. It's almost magical, but it also gives you the vision that it's all real. It was real because that was that house, right? Like it's
Yes. Yes.
wonderful.
Yes.
Beautiful. And so you're a Jikiden Reiki Shihan and you teach in, I'm gonna butcher that, in
It's okay.
McKinleyville.
Yes, I teach in McKinleyville, California, which is in a place called Humboldt County.
Mm,
It's at the very top of California on the coast.
mm,
So I'm 90 minutes south of the Oregon border, and it's where the beautiful redwoods meet the ocean. And just nature is everywhere. It's just these
wow.
big, beautiful redwood trees and the ocean and the bay. And there's wild elk that cross the highway as you're driving up the freeway. And it's just, it's it's beautiful here. It's
Oh,
beautiful.
that
Yeah,
makes me
yeah.
want to come to visit, of course.
Oh, well, you must. You must. I have a spare room. You must.
And you have
Yeah.
to come also to Italy. That would be wonderful to have you here.
I would love to. I'm looking forward to going back. Yes.
Mm, yeah.
So,
All right, so we're gonna get into the podcast, the episode. So first, I'd love to go back in time, and to begin, maybe I'd love to hear about your Reiki journey. So if you're happy to
okay.
share it with us,
Yes.
how did you first come across this practice, and what drew you to it?
Well, in my life, my body has always been sort of a pain holder. So it's always something, going on. And so there was a time about 20 years ago where I wore leg braces and I had a lot of pain. And I had a friend who I started an organic dog biscuit company with, and she was taking Reiki classes. And they were Western Reiki classes because that's all we had available at the time. And she said, I have to practice like on people. So can I practice on you? And I was like, okay. And so she practiced on me and she didn't even have a table yet. She just like, so I sat in the recliner and pulled the recliner out and I remember feeling all the pain leave my body.
Wow. Mm.
And I remember thinking, this is the odd part. I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I can help people with this. Not, oh my gosh, I have no pain in my body, but like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. Like,
Mm,
this is something that everyone should experience.
mm.
And so I did end up that year having my ankles reconstructed, and I was supposed to be in a wheelchair, like now.
Oh.
But because of Reiki and doing Reiki every day, the doctor told me I wouldn't even be able to walk for like 6 months. At my 3 month check-in, I walked in his office in with a walker, and he was like,
This is
I don't know what
amazing.
you're doing, but just keep doing it. I don't understand it. I don't care. Just keep doing that. And so it was such a beautiful, wonderful experience in so many ways because
Mm,
the thing that hit me first was this needs to be shared, you
yeah.
know? And then, of course, I just benefited so much, and I still do today. I
Mm.
still do today. My body is, sometimes I think, why did I pick this body? But it's a lesson. And
Mm,
so if it wasn't for Reiki,
mm.
I think that my life would be much different, but I still can live a beautiful life. I still can share this wonderful modality and still get relief, whether I'm doing Reiki for myself or someone else is doing it for me. So, but that was my experience was she just was, you know, I need to practice. And usually I'm the kind of person that's like, no, no, I'm okay. I'm okay. But I just was like, all right, I'll do it for you. Like I'll
Mm.
do it as a favor for you. But really, it was profound. It was
Yeah.
wonderful.
So it
Yeah.
started like that with a significant experience, right?
Yes, yes, yes. And many others after, many, many other experiences after.
Mm.
It's like it always helped me get better or recuperate from whatever was going on. And that was like such a blessing.
Mm.
So, and when I learned, I could help my family, I could help my animals. I've always had animals. So, here it's very common, where in Japan it's not as common, for you to, do Reiki on animal. But
Mm.
here it's very common.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a life-changing moment, you know. I realized that this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm
Wow.
supposed to do this. Like,
Mm.
and I never looked back ever. I just kept going.
Beautiful, beautiful. So that really impacted completely your life to the point that not only you wanted to give also a Reiki to others, but you wanted to teach, right? Like, how did you come to that?
Yeah. Well, I thought, like, how can you share this? And the
Mm,
only way to share it is to teach it.
yeah,
I had a little trouble in the beginning because um,
yeah.
in Western Reiki, they don't really teach you how to teach, not really. I had
Mm,
my first Reiki teacher. She's a beautiful, amazing woman who I'm still very good friends with.
mm,
But the classes were short, and she always tried to make things affordable for people so they could do it and learn and just and but it's hard. I'm one of those people that I poke, poke, poke. I have to know the answer. I need to know why this. I need to know why that. And
yeah.
so and she told me it's okay. Just put your head down and put your hands on people and just do the work. It's okay. You don't have to know everything.
Mm.
But my brain was saying, but I want to know, but I want to know. I searched out other teachers, several other teachers, and they were all amazing, beautiful, talented women for some reason. I think we have some amazing men practitioners too, and teachers, but for some reason for me, it was the women. And I just constantly had so many questions, you
Mm,
know, and that nobody could answer. And
right.
so I had to teach myself how to teach, and I had to
Mm,
do a lot of research. So the first like 10 years, I had to teach myself how to teach.
right.
Write an outline, write a script. Like, how am I going to explain the history? How am I going to do
Mm,
this? How am I going to do that? And so, but it didn't matter. Like, I didn't care. And I get sometimes very nervous, like talking in front of a crowd. But I
mm,
also, once I start doing it, then I'm okay.
right.
And so in the beginning, I would just talk to an empty room to practice. I would just talk to an empty room with no one there. And then just gradually, slowly, students would start coming.
Mm,
And I live in an area here in Humboldt County where we have a lot of healing modalities and a
right.
lot of healers in this area.
Oh,
And many, many. We have hundreds of Reiki practitioners,
oh.
hundreds. Yeah, we used to have a really beautiful like practitioner guide, but we don't have it anymore. But
Mm.
still, like you can go into the health food store and the pegboard is covered with
Wow.
and posters and yeah, I mean everything, yoga, Reiki, sound, uh essential oils, like
Mm,
everything. So and I never really advertise. I mean, I did a little. I put myself in the guide and every once in a while in the newspaper ad or something, but for the most part, just by word of mouth, I
mm,
got popular.
mm.
Like they started to know me, but they also knew me from the dog biscuit company because
Oh,
I was in the papers a lot when I owned the organic dog biscuit company.
that's
And
amazing.
so, yeah, so people would see me and they'd say, "What are you doing?" And I would tell them, "Oh, I'm doing Reiki and it's amazing." And they would be like, "Oh, I want to try." And so
Mm.
it just kind of evolved naturally,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
And teaching just became, so I just enjoy it so much because I know when those people leave, like they're going to help someone else. And
yeah,
I feel like when they do that, like I'm helping them too,
yeah,
And so it's just spreading it to me is equally as important as working on people.
yeah,
I feel
absolutely.
like I feel it's important to give Reiki too, to
Yeah.
give Reiki.
Yeah,
So
it goes
yeah.
together, I guess, after a while. if you really put it into practice, this is part of it, right? Like to have more people being able to help other people, and when you
Yes,
know how good it is and how it works. Yeah,
yes.
right.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
and I think sometimes people worry, it's like,
Mm.
oh, there's too many practitioners, like I'm going to lose money, or I don't want
Mm.
to teach that many people because then they'll take my business. And I never felt that way ever. I always felt like there's always enough. There's
Mm.
always enough.
Yeah.
And so somebody might be better with this practitioner than with me, or
Mm.
somebody, because we still have that chemistry between people. And
Mm.
so we need all different types of practitioners and
Exactly.
teachers, so that everybody finds their match, so
Mm.
to help them heal. So, yeah.
It's beautiful to hear that. It's true that, um, yeah, sometimes it's sad to see in the healing community that it gets so competitive when it's actually about healing. And so it's beautiful to hear that. Thank you for saying
Hmm.
this.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And so you started by teaching Western style Reiki, right? Like, um,
Yes.
so you studied various styles, I guess, or was it one lineage in
It
particular?
was really, it was really just the Yusui Reiki lineage. And so my first teacher called it Yusui, what was it? Yusui Natural Healing System.
Right. Okay.
Um, and so the lineage was Yusui Sensei, Hayashi Sensei, Takada Sensei, and then like two or three others, and then my
Oh,
teacher. And
right. Okay.
so, yeah. And then at one point, I met a woman, um, a wonderful woman, and she was in her 80s. And she said, I was working at a doctor's office doing Reiki for like when people have headaches and things. She would take me off the front desk. And then I would, do Reiki for their headaches and stuff.
Oh,
And
okay.
so I met this woman. Her name was Joan, or her spiritual name was Normise. And she leaned over the counter one day, this little 80-year-old woman, and she said, Here, you do everything. And I said, I do. And she said, Me too. And I said, Oh, I asked her who she learned from, and she told me it was Phyllis Horimoto,
Mm.
who's Mrs. Takada's granddaughter. And I said, "Oh, how wonderful. If you ever teach a class, I would be honored to attend." And she said, "Actually, I understand that you know some of the Japanese technique because I had been studying."
Mm.
And she said, "I would like you to come to my class." And
Oh.
and I was like, "What?"
Whoa.
So I agreed only if she would not let me pay her. So
Mm.
I told her I would only do it if she accepted a donation
Mm.
from me. And so she said yes. And so in the donation, I just gave her like what I charge. So that
Oh,
way
that's.
I don't know, I just felt
Mm.
like it was the right thing to do. But
Mm.
so she was studied with Phyllis from the 80s. And
Oh.
she'd been, yeah, it was like 30 years that she, had been with Phyllis. And so she got me connected with Phyllis actually.
Mm.
And she uh Phyllis did an interview with me about like Reiki and the VA, the military, because I ran a clinic with all of my students uh, at the VA in
Mm.
Eureka, which is like 20 miles south of here,
Mhm.
and at a vet center. And it was lovely. They gave us a room, and we would just put cloths over the books and the TV screen and set up tables, and they let us put crystals in the room on the windowsill,
Beautiful.
just to sort of change the ambiance. And we'd play the calming music, and the vets loved it. And they were all like vets that were suffering mostly from PTSD, military
Oh.
sexual trauma vets. So really, and the wonderful thing was they would have a Reiki session, and then if they were needing to process, we could get a counselor and they could go process with the counselor. So it was
Mm.
amazing. And so Phyllis interviewed me about that, like on her little radio show. And so at one point I thought maybe I would ask her to be my teacher, because
Mm.
I still felt like there was so much to learn and I couldn't get anybody to answer my questions. Everybody just kept saying the same thing. Oh, just do the work. It's okay. And I'm like, but I'm a
Yeah.
teacher. I need to know the answer to these questions.
Mm.
For some reason, I don't know why, but nobody ever asked me those questions. Thank you. But at the same time, I still felt like something's missing,
Yeah.
something's missing. I don't, and there's things that like, I understood them in a way that was sort of like in my head, like under, I guess what I'm saying is like through the studying and understanding like how energy works and all of that, for me,
Mm.
I could make sense of it, but I didn't feel it was the right answer,
Right.
you know?
It's like a
So
part was missing, like a part of the puzzle was missing. Mm.
even the phrase, like universal energy, even
Yeah.
that phrase, it's really not quite right because
Mm.
everything, that means energy from everything, universal, everything. That
Yeah.
means energy from this cup.
Mm.
And that's not, this is my opinion only. For me, I like to say the energy from the universe is
Yeah.
what we use. Where our souls go when we go home, like to
Mm.
me, that's the energy that we're using.
Mm.
We're not using universal energy. I'm not using energy from the table. But I didn't understand that even in the beginning, like
Right.
when I was teaching, because there was no other way to think of it.
Mm.
So now I try to get them to understand it's that energy of the universe. So even when you hear the words universal energy, I want you to understand it's really energy from the
From.
universe.
Yeah, those are little details. It seems like little details, but they make such a big difference on your understanding, right?
Exactly,
Mm.
exactly. So just little things like that. So just uh
Yeah,
trying to go from teacher to teacher until I finally found Jikiden Reiki. I was
beautiful.
going to the Grand Masters retreat to meet Phyllis
Mm.
in person because I'd only met her like on Zoom and through the radio interview, and we had multiple lovely emails back and forth. And so I went, and on the way, I had a student come with me and a good friend, and she read Yamaguchi Sensei's book as we drove to Arizona, and she read our Java's book, the Red Book, and every question I had was answered. And I
Wow.
thought, I'm going the wrong place. I'm going the wrong
Ah.
direction. And so, um, we went to the retreat and everything, but while we were at the retreat, we actually registered to Yamaguchi Sensei this was in August,
Mm.
and in October there was going to be a seminar in Seattle, Washington. And so
Oh.
at the retreat, I'm on the phone registering to go up there,
Oh.
and I'm thinking my husband is going to kill me Because I just been away for like 15 days and now in 6 weeks I'm gonna go again. And he was so wonderful. He said, just do what you have to do. It's okay. And I was
Mm,
like, oh, thank you.
what a kind
So
soul.
that's how I found Jakeiden Reiki was through
Wow.
that. And we were at the retreat and we did the retreat, but things occurred that just kept validating that
Mm,
I need to go this way. I need to
yeah.
go this way. And
Which is,
and
yeah, which is quite interesting too. Probably it was needed so that you can have this, this savor, like this, how do you call it? It's another flavor if you don't go through that before, right?
yes,
Like, yeah,
yes, yeah. It's almost like you don't appreciate it
the
as
same
much
way. Yeah.
because I feel like I worked so hard to get to a place
Mm,
where it's like, oh, that's it. And I had a lot of our Java's books, a
yeah.
lot,
Yeah.
and I knew about him for a long time. And
Mm,
I had that red book for 2 years on my shelf.
mm,
And I just never had time to read it.
yeah.
I was always just so busy, but
Mm,
I never read it. And I told my friend, We're going to take these two books with us because these are, I don't really know that much about um, this lineage, but I would like to know
a
kind of
bit more. Mm,
yeah, like what's going on. And apparently, our Java sensei is heard of this, and so I would like to know more.
mm.
And it just was amazing. Like she would be reading, and I would stop her and go, "Oh my gosh, that's why this and that, and this goes to that, and that totally answers that." And she's like, "Yeah," and then she would keep.
This is amazing, and all that going through another seminar of another lineage. But so
I
in
know.
the end, did you train with Phyllis, or so you did the seminar? Or okay, so it was
I
more
did
a
the seminar.
mm,
I did the seminar, and I chose not to ask her to be my teacher.
right,
Um,
okay.
the fee was very high, but I was willing to pay it. But when I realized that wasn't the right place, I didn't even ask her. We just went
Mm.
and we tried to enjoy our time there and make it through. We were so excited about October that it was just very hard for us to get through. And
Yeah.
some of the philosophy that was going on at that time,
Mm.
um, with Reiki from that point of view was not really matching my point of view.
Right.
It just was going a different direction, which is fine. Things evolve but it was more and more just validation that I need to go the other way.
Mm.
So,
Wow,
yeah.
this is amazing. Like on the way. And why did you think at that time, oh, maybe we should take those books? This is really amazing how it works, right?
I don't even know
Uh,
how I found Yamaguchi Sensei's book. I
mm.
don't know, like,
Yeah, it's not an
how I
easy
got
book
that
to
book.
find at the time, right? Like it wasn't like yeah.
Yes, I have no idea. Like I had our Java's book because I had all of his books,
Mm.
but I have never heard of Yamaguchi family. I don't know what made me buy the book. I
Felt it
just
was right.
bought it and yeah. So it was so wonderful to read just even about the cultural part
Yeah.
that we don't it's so missing, from the other side, but which is understanding because it grew
Yeah.
in a different culture.
Yeah.
So by the time it made it back to Japan, it wasn't considered Japanese for a while. It was
Mm.
considered a foreign,
Yeah.
you know, modality, and it's so funny. But
Yeah.
and like the first thing I do when I get a student is I tell them to do not Google, do not
Yes.
stay off of the internet, and do not Google things.
Yeah.
And if you need to read something, I will recommend something, but please, because you will just get confused.
Exactly. There's everything and nothing at the end. on the internet and so much information that it's hard when you're starting probably to understand what it's all about. It can be confusing too, right?
Yeah, yeah. And in
Right.
the beginning, I tried to teach both styles,
Yeah.
but I could not because even the history was not correct. I called it traditional Western story. That's what
Mm.
I called the Western Reiki history because it really wasn't history.
Yeah.
And so, and it was just too, for me, I felt like I know what I'm telling them isn't quite right. So it didn't
Mm.
feel good to me. So
Right.
finally, after like I tried 3 times and then I was like, what am I doing?
Mm.
You're not comfortable now, and you don't want to take their money because because you know you're not comfortable doing, why are you doing this?
Mm.
And
Yeah.
so when my students would call and tell me, I'm ready for my next level, and I would say, I'm so sorry, I'm not teaching that
Mm.
lineage anymore. And they would ask me, well, what are you doing? And I would tell them, and they would say, oh, I want to learn that. And so I got very lucky because I had a very good student base here,
Yeah.
and a lot of them changed over.
Mm.
So that was really wonderful. We started here with just me, only me.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was scared, because it was like, oh, okay, all these people know me and they know this. And now I always say, like, I will always be there for you. So
Mm.
when you're ready, like, you just call me, or if you need help, you just call me. And now I have to tell them, I'm sorry, I can't do that.
Yeah.
And so, but it worked out because people
Mm.
just were like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Very simple for them. They had no problem at all.
Yeah,
So
and I mean, you taught what you knew at the time, right? Like that's another thing. And
yes,
yeah, and
yes, it's that saying, like, you do your best until you know better.
exactly.
And then when you know better, your best is different,
And
maybe.
you're
So
sharing it. It's not you're keeping it for you. It's actually a great
yeah,
thing. It's you know
yeah,
more, so you can share more, and that's beautiful, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. I want as many teachers here as possible. I'm constantly just talking to them like they're going to be teachers, even if they don't really.
That's beautiful. And that's a sign you're a great teacher too. I'm sure this is a beautiful thing to think as a teacher, you know. So many are so scared about competition, and so I think it's a beautiful message you're sending, saying that.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I think too, people need to understand being a teacher doesn't mean you have to teach everybody, but you can teach your family,
Yeah, exactly.
and that is very important,
Yeah.
So even if you don't want to share with your community, teaching your family is really important.
Mm.
So, yeah,
Or your very close friends, for example, right? It can really
absolutely.
change lives this way, right? Like it's
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So now, of course, you exclusively teach Jikiden Reiki and do Reiki treatments of Jikiden Reiki, right? Yeah.
Yes,
Mm.
I do. I found that and this is just my opinion based on what I see happening with my clients. I found that um, they were getting better faster, you know.
Mm.
Things were getting easier for them. Um, and they would say, because they've been seeing me for 10 years already, and they would say, wow, that felt a little bit different,
Mm.
and then I would get comments a lot like about the scroll, like I could feel energy like flowing through me from the scroll, and I would be like, yes, you could, and So I just found like it was just, I always describe it like this. I say, like, you want to paint a beautiful painting.
Mm.
And so I take my paint and I have lots of paint and it's very vibrant and bright, and I paint that painting. And then I think, oh, I want to paint another one that's exactly like it, but I don't have enough paint. So I add some water to it
Mm.
and I paint, and it's also a beautiful painting. And they both do what they're supposed to do. Like the art that I painted, it like invokes that feeling that it's supposed to do, because the art does it sort of invokes like emotions and thinking and all kinds of things. And so I feel like the traditional teachings, the Jikiden, the directly passed down is like the vibrant, and the
Mm.
Western is like the watered down a little bit, only
Yeah.
because it was changed,
Yeah.
only because there's so many things that are changed or added to it, but it still works. I still helped a lot of people, and
That's the thing.
I have a lot of respect and gratitude for Mrs. Takata,
Yeah.
and I don't know, you know, why she did what she did.
Mm.
And it's not for me to know, or I would know it, you know.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
and things evolved the way they did because it helped it get back to Japan. And
Exactly.
and it would
Exactly.
not have made it back to Japan. So, and that's because he made it for everyone.
Yeah.
Isui Sensei made it for everyone.
Exactly.
And if he didn't do that, then it would have stayed in Japan, and it may have died off with the final families, that.
Exactly. Yeah. That's something we have to remember and to also feel grateful for because otherwise it would have been forgotten. It wouldn't have spread the same way. And as you say, Reiki is still Reiki, even though the history and the modality is transformed, evolved, we can say. Like, I don't know what words to use to say. Like, it's been changed. Yeah, we can say that. But
Yeah,
the
yeah.
energy works somehow. Huh? The Reiki works. It's just it
Yeah,
has another taste, right?
I always felt like in Western Reiki, the skill of the practitioner was very important because
Yeah.
they're using a lot of their own energy too, because they don't have the same system that we have to pass it down.
Yeah.
And so they are using their own energy as well.
Mm.
Um, and so that's why there's protection techniques and why there's wiping and
Right.
swiping and things like that, where it's like we don't do any of that because we don't need to.
No.
And so the way it's passed down is really the difference,
Yeah. Absolutely.
that makes it, so different. So it's really a skilled practitioner, we have it culturally, like we know, we often hear Reiki is an ancient modality. No, it's from the 1920s.
Yeah.
However, yes, there were healers back in Egypt, 7,000 years ago doing universal energy healing. They
Yeah.
just called it something else. It
Exactly.
wasn't it wasn't Reiki. So it's, everything just depends on the practitioner, I think,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Exactly. Exactly. Well, that
yeah.
leads me a little bit to the next question. What are some misconceptions, common misconceptions that you've encountered about Reiki, and how do you usually respond to clarify them, these misconceptions?
I think some of them is that when somebody that doesn't know a
Mm.
lot about Reiki, or they've been Googling, um, they feel they feel like their person is psychic also,
Oh,
like
yeah.
like
Yeah.
going to give them, psychic reading and things like that. And I think what happens is that if you have other abilities, that if you do Reiki, it just keeps you clear, and those special abilities are a side effect
Right.
from the Reiki. It is not the Reiki, it is a side effect. And so, like, understanding that, because if somebody goes to one person for Reiki and they get a reading, and then they go to someone else and they don't get a reading, they're going to be disappointed. They're going
Mm,
to think this other person is not a good practitioner, when really, like, you came to them for Reiki and that is Reiki. I
perfect.
see on TV all the time the Reiki meditation thing, which I don't fully understand. I know we have like a meditation practice that we can do to enhance the
Mm,
energy flow in our hands, but it's not like I don't run a group of people where we do like Reiki meditation.
mm,
So there's misconceptions about that.
yeah.
And then also, I feel like from a Western point of view, it can be conceived as very like, oh, like just very like ungrounded almost.
Very
And so,
dramatic. Yeah, yeah. Like
yeah, yeah. And
Mm,
so a lot of times when I'm teaching students that come from Western,
mm.
when we're doing our practice, I don't know if Yamaguchi Sensei would like this, but I make them keep their eyes open and I keep them talking
Mm,
so they don't float off.
mm.
And also so that way when we're done with the practice, the receiver says, "Oh, I felt this and I felt that and this felt better." And so they understand, like, it's not you
Yeah.
healing them, it's the Reiki
Reiki.
healing them, and you're facilitating.
Yeah.
And so it's not this magical, you know,
Mystical. Yeah.
witchcraft,
Yeah.
when we use the word magical about, like, for Reiki, like when I say it's magical, I think like it's miraculous.
Yes.
It things happen like faster and they help people get better. And there have been some pretty amazing things that have happened.
Yeah.
We can't claim, that we're going to heal someone, or that the Reiki is going to heal someone. But what your body is so intelligent. And when it works with that energy, anything can happen.
Mm.
And that to me, that is what makes it like that to me is the miracle, not
Yeah.
the I'm gonna make a miracle now, or it's like
Yeah.
it's to me that, so that kind of mystical thing. And also really the traditional Japanese, the directly passed down, what we do, Jakiden, is very grounded.
Oh, yeah.
It's very grounding. It's I feel extremely grounded, extremely aware. I want to watch the body react. I want to see the releases. I want to hear them. And if my eyes are closed, then I'm just sort of like preventing myself from taking a nap. It's like I want to see, like, because sometimes the receiver doesn't feel all that. And
Mm.
so I can say, "Oh, you did so good. Your lower body released, we had quite a few little jolts and movement, and your stomach was going." And always people are like, "I know, I'm sorry." And I'm like, "No, no, no, we want that. It's all good." You know?
Yeah.
So I think that's, yeah, I think that's really, you know,
Yeah.
something that people don't have a good understanding of.
Yeah, and
So
thank you for clarifying that. And I think there's nothing wrong with doing meditation or other modalities, just to not like put them together, right? Like when you meditate, I also teach meditation sometimes, but we always do when we do Reiki, it's Reiki. When we do meditation, it's meditation, and it's not all
exactly.
mixed up, right? Like it's
Yes.
it can be confusing because it's true, and now you can see everything and nothing called Reiki on the internet, and it's yeah,
Yes.
mm.
Everything.
Everything,
Everything.
literally everything, right?
I feel like they're scared to use the word healing, so they use the word Reiki.
Exactly.
Exactly. And so, and it doesn't mean that their modality is bad or it doesn't work, but if you use like the word healing instead of Reiki, then
Mm.
and the person can say they have Reiki experience, but this is not Reiki. This is my own modality, healing modality that I created, which
Mm.
can happen.
Yeah,
It can.
of
And there's
course.
nothing wrong with that.
Mm.
But calling it Reiki,
Is a bit not
it's
okay.
confusing for people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But
Yeah, thank you for clarifying that. And I love also the fact that you said, okay, it's a side effect. It's totally possible that you may have visions or things like that, but this is not the Reiki. The Reiki is the Reiki part, and you may have something, but it doesn't mean that it
or not.
happens. Or not, exactly. It doesn't mean that it will happen every time or with everyone. And yeah, promoting Reiki in that way, I see this is what happens a lot. So that's, yeah, that can be a misconception. So thank you for
Yeah, yeah,
clarifying. Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
it's
Mm.
yeah, I think we just have to get used to telling the receiver if that happens with you, you should probably let them know.
Yeah,
Or
absolutely.
you can, if somebody is properly trained in that, in their um, side effect, then they know how to shut it off.
Yeah,
Like you just do the Reiki and you say, no, thank you,
exactly.
send it to the person. They have a dream in 2 days or whatever.
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
it's like when Yasui Sensei went up on the mountain, like
Mm.
to achieve, well, to achieve death, but instead he received the enlightenment that he was originally looking for, and Reiki was the side effect of
Yeah,
his enlightenment. And
yeah.
so it's sort of like validation that you can, you know, side effects are important,
Yes, yes.
but we should call them what they are. So,
Exactly, exactly. That's the thing,
hmm
right?
yeah.
Right. And talking about, mm, so when we do something, it is Reiki, and when we do something else, it's something else. So you do also other healing modalities. So you
I
also
do.
work with sound healing and past life regression. And so maybe for those who may not be familiar, could you briefly explain what this modality involve and how they can support the healing process?
Yeah, well, one of the things that I love about Jikiden Reiki is that it really works on a soul level.
Yeah.
Like like when we do the mental emotional, we're
Mm.
fixing whatever the issue is right then, and the person doesn't carry it forward. And so I know many, many, many modalities, many. Like I've
Mm.
studied at one point, I had a huge list, and then as I've gotten older, I'm like, I don't want to do all that stuff. I don't need to, I don't need to. And so I try to just stay with the modalities that just work on a soul level. So past life regression is something I just sort of fell into. I studied with Brian Weiss in New York at the Omega Institute, and it was a wonderful uh, experience. And I'm not a hypnotherapist.
Hmm.
I'm what
Right.
they call a spiritual regressionist, where most people that do regression work are hypnotherapists. So
Mm.
I write a lot of my own scripts and things like that, depending on the person. And I usually, I find it fascinating because the person is sharing their soul's
Mm.
journey with you. And
Right.
I'm just asking open-ended questions to get the answers from them. They have all the answers.
Mm.
Just like with Jake and Reiki, your body has the ability to do this. And so
Right.
we're just helping it. And
Mm.
so with the past life regression work, I can do I usually take them between 3 and 5 lives, and then we
Mm.
find a pattern, that's something that they want to stop or they want to uh or they get a better understanding of why certain things are happening, you
Right.
know.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not what they want, like it's not,
Mm.
that wasn't the question. And so I have to tell them, you know, you may not get the answer that you want, but you'll get the answer that you need. And
Right.
so
Ooh.
that's very it. So if you have an expectation, maybe if you can try to let that go a little bit and let's just see what happens.
Mm.
And I've done many of them. I've only had one person that we really struggled like getting them to
Oh.
the place, because they're, you take them to a state of deep relaxation
Mm.
and they are talking, like I'm asking them questions and they're talking to me.
Right.
But if the person can't get out of their head, then
Yeah.
they can't go to that place of deep relaxation. So, but I find it just fascinating work.
Mm.
But if you want to know, the funny thing is with
Yeah.
our mental emotional treatment with Jacoden Reiki, I really don't have to do regression work. We can, if somebody has something, because I will, and I tell them this, if you have an issue that you want to resolve or a habit that you want to let go of, you know, and you don't understand why you're doing this, we
Mm.
can do this two ways. You can do a regression if you want, or we can do the mental emotional treatment.
Right.
So it's very funny because really I can still do that with the Reiki, you know,
Right.
because since I did develop that
Yeah.
form of treatment as well, you know.
Mm.
So it gives me options, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
A- And then the sound thing
Yeah.
is very funny. The same girl that practiced the Reiki on me, her name is Vicky, and
Also, the very
she,
first time when you, okay, yeah,
yeah,
wow,
she
beautiful.
kept giving me these CDs with singing bowls.
Yeah.
And I kept telling her, I don't like this. I don't want it. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's very chaotic. Bing, bang, boom, bong. I don't get it. And she's like, no, this is for you. I'm telling you. And I'm like, no, you're crazy. And so she did this to me like maybe three times, and so finally I ended up going with my first Reiki teacher to Mount Shasta,
Mm.
which is very spiritual place, inland. It's 5 hours inland from here.
Mm.
And I experienced a live sound, um, I want to say more like meditation story, sort of like the woman,
Mhm.
her name is Bev Wilson, and she owns a store called Middle Earth.
Mm.
And it's 7 rooms of just, I could spend 3 days in there.
Wow.
Like there's just massive stones and all kinds of singing bowls and instruments and just, oh, it's delicious being in there. You're just like, you don't want to leave, you know? And so she did this sound session for us, and they had people there that read stones. And I
Mm.
had this great big huge Lemurian crystal, and I was like, okay, I'll have them read my stone. And what the funny thing is that before we went in, I only had a little bit of money, like to last
Mm.
me like 3 days. And I forgot to ask them how much to read the stone. So the whole time I was in there, all I could think about was like, this is going to be embarrassing. I don't have I only have this much money. Oh
Mm.
my gosh, what am I going to do? And so, and then I'd be like, you know what? You're in here now. You need to be present. And so I would try to breathe and get
Oh.
back and let my mind sort of wander with the sound. And then I'd go off again about, like
Mm.
worrying. And
Yeah.
so at the end, they go around and everybody's like shared their experience. And I'm like, oh, yes, it was great, very relaxing. Honestly, I just was like so embarrassed, but no
Oh.
one knew, thank goodness. But so, and of course, when I came out, when I asked them how much, they told me it was free.
Oh.
I felt so bad. I'm like, you wasted this. But then
Mm.
that night, when I went to sleep, I tried to go to sleep and everything came. Like everything that I was supposed to get from that sound healing,
Came there.
it came to me. And it was amazing. Like I spent the whole night awake writing and writing and writing and writing and writing and writing. And what I realized is that sound is an eternal vibration.
Mm.
Eventually, those sound waves turn into little heat waves. Okay.
Mm.
And so that it waited for me until I was ready. And then once I was ready and my body and my mind was ready, the information came. And
Wow.
I thought, oh my gosh, this is so powerful. And then I was like, oh, Vicky was right. And so when I sold my dog biscuit company, I after that I went up to see Bev a couple of times and I would take a student up with me sometimes. And she told me about this bowl that was being made, and I only had like a little metal bowl. I didn't really
Mm.
have any singing bowls. She told me about this singing bowl that was made out of citrine, kyanite, and ocean indium. And I thought, oh my God, that sounds amazing. You can work all aspects of a being with that kind of bowl. And so it was bugging me and bugging me. And so when I got home, I called and said, can I buy that bowl? And she said, well, it's not done being made. And I said, I don't care. If I just pay you for it now, can they just send it here to me when it's done? And she was like, okay. And that's what I did. So 8 months later, took 8 more months for the bowl to come. And then I took it out of the box and I thought, oh, I have a Mercedes and no driver's license. I don't know how to play this bowl. I don't know what I'm doing. What was I thinking? It was very, very expensive.
Mm.
And what I did was I just started playing the bowl every day for
Mm.
hours and hours and hours. And the bowl taught me everything. Like
Mm.
it taught me everything. And then I developed a treatment, a balancing treatment with it. And I called my teachers in and said each one at a time. And like, I think I have something, but I don't know if it's just for me or if I'm supposed to share it with people. So can you please come and
Mm.
experience this? And so my teacher said, okay, my first one. And so I did the session and then she just sat on up on the table and
Mm.
she said, I can't talk right now. So I'm gonna drive home and then I will tell you after I process. And I was like, okay. And I said, like, are you okay? And she's like, oh yeah, I'm fine. I just need
Yes.
time. And I said, okay. And
Mm.
then, and then she talked to me and she said it was just so big that I
Mm.
had to let it settle. And
Yeah.
then I was able to like really get, and it meant a lot to me because she was the one that took me to the first live thing that I ever went to. And I never looked
Oh,
back after that. And I have like 30 bowls. And honestly, you
wow.
don't need all that. Like you
Yeah.
don't. Like one bowl is fine, but they just kept coming. And I just, if I think of something,
Mm.
then if I'm supposed to have it, it just comes.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
this is yeah.
and because the sound is sort of like an eternal thing, it
Mm.
also works on a soul level.
Yeah.
And it works beautifully with Reiki because I can do a little Reiki before
Yes.
and or I can do a little Reiki after. And then also even with the regression, like
Mm.
if the person is really struggling, I can do a little Reiki in the beginning to try to get them to sort of
Relax. Yeah.
calm down, yeah, calm into it. But those are the only two other modalities that I do
Mm.
unless somebody really asks me. Like
Right.
I teach tuning fork class and I do
Mm.
teach some sound work. I don't
Right.
teach the regression work because I'm not,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, right, right. But did you notice any connections between Reiki and these other approaches? In what ways maybe sound or past life work deepen your perspective on Reiki, or vice versa, maybe one or the other?
I feel like all three of them work from a place of unconsciousness.
Hmm.
Like they work with our soul.
Yeah.
And so they don't like when a person comes with Reiki and they say like, oh, my hip's killing me and I don't know why I didn't do anything and blah, blah, blah. And then it's like we find I hear them talking before the session and they keep bringing up like after 3 or 4 times that they have very bad boundaries or something with people. And so I will ask them like, it sounds like you've mentioned like having boundary issues with people. Is that
Hmm.
something that you would like to address? And then I will tell them a little bit about the mental emotional issue.
Yeah.
And if they say yes, and then I like to do between 3 and 6 treatments, kind
Yeah.
of as close together as I can, because I notice a shift between that 3 and 6. And the
Hmm.
shift is very gentle. They
Yeah.
don't notice it, but you can tell when the person comes, oh, something's a little bit different.
Yeah.
And then you get them talking, and then they just describe to you like something where they told somebody, oh, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that right now. And I'm like, that's it, you did it. And so, and what it does is it just brings them to a conscious state of choosing not to do that, you
Yeah,
know?
right. Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
so, which I love. And with the sound, it's the same. Like, depending on, like, if they want me to work on something specific, like, I
Mm.
can ask, for that to happen. The sound is very different. This is hard to explain, but
Mm.
I'm not really playing
Right.
the instruments. So I just hear the sound that they want me to play, and I play that sound. And
Mm.
I keep playing until I don't hear any more sounds.
Mm.
So I'm not a musician. It's not, it's not like that. It's really more like a meditation and it's specific for each person.
Mm.
So, like for me, I feel like, how like we say, like we're channeling the energy of the universe. Well, I'm just channeling those sounds that
For the
they're
person. Yeah.
being needs.
Yeah.
And so I find that very similar. And I
Yeah.
think it's because they're both vibrational,
Yeah.
I
And
think.
also because you're not using your own energy, right? Like it's all about
No,
being empty so that the work can happen for the person, right?
yeah. And if I try to do what I think sounds pretty,
Yeah.
the stick flies out of my hand, I give the bowl, I bing the gong. So I don't have a choice. It's
It's
not,
beautiful.
and I think that just came from, having the bull teach me, which I know that sounds
Mm.
very strange, but
Oh no, not
I
to me.
I just started listening, like, okay, I need to be quiet so I can hear
Mm.
what I need to hear.
Oh,
So,
it's
yeah.
very profound too, huh? I need to be quiet to be able to listen and hear. Yeah.
And the same with the Reiki. Like we don't have to be quiet, like our mind can go wherever it
Mm.
wants. But we have this conception that we need to be like, and so when someone's struggling with that, I tell them, just go to your breath.
Yeah, exactly.
Just go to your breath. That's all you have to
Exactly.
do. Just breathe,
Yeah.
and don't worry if you start wandering off and doing grocery shopping. I have done a treatment with somebody before, and I was like, whole time in the grocery store in my mind, doing my little Reiki, and I felt so bad. This was
Yeah.
before Jake did Reiki. And I
Right.
felt so bad, like, oh my gosh, you weren't present. This is terrible. I don't want to take their money. And they get off the table and they said it was one of the best sessions they ever had because I was out of the way.
Exactly. It's to be out of the way, right? Yeah.
Hmm. So the Reiki had to show me, like, you don't have to be
Yeah.
focusing, which
Yeah.
so I learned that like on my own. But yeah, it was,
Yeah.
was a
It
weird lesson.
it's a weird lesson, but it's because probably in the beginning we want to be doing something. And it's not about doing
Yes.
actually. It's letting
No.
the Reiki do, which is
Yeah.
quite abstract at the beginning because you have the feeling, oh, I have to be good for the person. I have to help and be doing the help. And actually, no, no, just, trust the process, trust Reiki.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially with this style of Reiki, there's so much validation.
Oh,
There's just so much validation that like when they're first practicing the students and they're like, I don't feel anything. And I'm like, it's okay. It doesn't matter what you feel.
mm,
Just keep going. I
yeah,
said, we'll talk to the receiver after and they'll tell you.
yeah,
And they always do. They'll say like, oh, your hands were really warm, or as soon as you put your hands here, like I felt this like pop, or I felt, and they're like, I didn't feel anything. And it's like,
mm,
but that's what you need to remember. Like, it's okay.
yeah,
You don't have to feel anything because it's not you,
yeah,
you
exactly.
know?
It's
So
an
yeah.
idea that is hard to let go for so many, especially at the beginning, right? But it takes
Always,
time.
because what you said is so true. Like, we want to help. We're
Yeah,
doing it because we want to help,
yeah.
you know?
Mm,
And the thing too, another difference between the Western Reiki and this style of Reiki is that really most people that do this kind of work are empathetic people.
mm.
But it's not good to work from a place of empathy because then we're carrying their bags.
Yeah,
Oh, this
yeah.
person's hurting and we take it.
Mm.
And so I always try to remind them, like, and myself too, like
Yeah.
you have to work from a place of compassion.
Yes.
And it's so hard. Like you have to take a few deep breaths and you have to set yourself back a little bit and view it like, what is the best way for me to help this person? Instead of how can I get this off so they don't have to carry this.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be carrying those bags.
Mm.
That is their lesson
Mm.
and so it's really like, how do we help them get through it in a more gentle way, you
Yeah,
know? And that
exactly.
really is just by putting
Putting
your
the
hands.
hands. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah, that's so nice to talk about that too, huh? To really be able to let the Reiki do the job. And yeah, this is a big one, right? Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And the body is
And the
so
body.
intelligent.
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah.
The body just knows what to
Yeah.
do. It just knows.
Mm.
And, when we think about healing, like sometimes healing isn't getting better.
Yeah.
Sometimes healing is helping the person transition, or sometimes healing is helping the person live with something in an easier way. Someone that has Parkinson's or MS
Mm.
or one of those diseases that don't go away. You can't
Mm.
cure those diseases. No, the doctors can't cure those diseases. So you want to make the person be able to move through life easier.
Yeah.
And so when they have a family member or a companion, like doing Reiki on them, it just helps them so much more than if they just were struggling through. So
Absolutely.
it's really about like the degree of what we can do
Mm.
for the person. And really all we can do is just offer them Reiki,
Yeah, exactly.
which is big,
Yeah.
it's a big thing.
Yes, it is. It is. And
Yeah.
so we're slowly going to almost the end of
Okay.
the episode. I would love, like, yeah, I love talking to you and chat with you, but an episode can only hold a few. You have to come back. You have to come
I
back. We'll do
know. I
another
would love
one.
to. I do talk a lot. It's true.
Oh, me too. We do. Like, yeah, that's what it is when we're passionate about something, and this is so lovely, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, I have to ask you the question that I ask everyone on Reiki Banashi. which is if you had the opportunity to meet Mikao Usui Sensei today, what would you like to ask him or say to him or both?
Oh,
Yeah, it's a
I'm
big question.
thinking about this, and I think first I would ask him if we could sit down and have tea.
Hmm.
And then I would want to know like how he feels about seeing that all over the world people are still doing Reiki.
Hmm.
And then also I think I would want to just offer gratitude for this because it is a life-changing thing. And I have so much gratitude that he made it so that and designed it so that anyone can do it.
Hmm.
So no matter who you are,
Yeah.
what you believe or what you don't believe, it doesn't matter. Like this is for everyone. And so that is beautiful because it is what helped it cross lines and come all the way back around and come back, was the fact that it was for everyone.
It was.
And so, I hear sometimes, occasionally, oh, it should stay in Japan and only Japanese people should learn. But
Hmm.
that's not what Usui Sensei wanted.
No.
He wanted everyone. And I think in my mind, like, I think every single person on the planet should know how to do this,
Yeah.
But and I think that's what I would ask him. Like, are you happy that like I'm sure
Hmm.
he's happy, but like what does he think about it? Like
Hmm.
still here. It's still here,
Yeah.
you know?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And all that drinking tea together. That would be
I
wonderful.
know. I mean, come on.
Yeah, we need a bit of context, right?
We
Like
should
if we
have some
can.
tea.
Of course, of course. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for that. Yeah, this is a beautiful image, and we would love to know what he would say. That would be beautiful.
I know, right?
Yeah,
It's so much, he gave so much in such a little time.
that's amazing, right? Yeah.
4 years.
It's not much when you think about it. And
It's nothing.
yet the gift that he left us.
So big. Yeah.
Mm.
Amazing. How many people he helped.
Yeah, this is
It's
beautiful.
amazing. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So we're slowly arriving at the
I
end
know.
of the episode, but is there anything we haven't touched that you would like to share before we close the episode?
No, I think we covered
You
we
covered quite.
covered a lot.
I
Yeah.
ask a lot of questions, that's true.
It's okay. I
I
talk a
do.
lot, so
We
yeah.
match. This is good.
Yeah, we match. Yeah.
Right.
No, it was beautiful. Thank you so much for having me. I
Thanks
just
to
really
you.
appreciate it. And I really enjoy watching your interviews of
Mm,
others too. Just it's been so fun. And especially when it's people that and like we
yeah,
were saying in the beginning, with Jikiden Reiki, you're not just learning Reiki, you have another family.
you do.
Every single time I I go to a seminar, I meet somebody else that's in my family too,
Right.
and it's so wonderful
It is.
and such a beautiful community. I went to Japan and I never thought I would be able to go, and just all of my Japanese friends that I knew just from meeting them online, and it was just so wonderful to meet them in person and to even sneak hugs because that's not really the Japanese way,
It's true. It's true.
but still, I still was able
Oh,
to, it's just so different, it's wonderful. And just people, the goal is to help each other.
yeah.
And that's wonderful.
And we have a whole community to help each other and to support
All over the
that.
world.
All over the world. Look, we're on the
All
other side
over
of the planet and we're talking right now. Isn't
No,
it
it's amazing. I
amazing?
love it.
It's
Yeah,
beautiful, beautiful. And
yeah,
so, me too, I would love to thank you so much for this beautiful moment of sharing. It was really heartwarming, as you say, to see another family member from the
yeah,
community. And
yeah.
who knows where we will meet next?
I know.
Will it be Italy, maybe again Japan, or maybe California? Who knows? It would be wonderful
Lots
to
of
have you here.
options.
Yeah, lots of options. That's true. But before we say goodbye, if
Yes.
someone wants to learn more about you or get in touch, what's the best way to do so?
So
You have a
they can call
website, right? Yeah.
me
Yeah.
at area code 707-382-2779, or I do have a website.
Perfect.
My website is Healing with Reiki and Sound at Healing with Reiki and Sound.com.
.com. Right, right. Okay, so I'll make sure to include all the details on the
Yeah.
episode links, right?
Yeah, and my email is the same, healing with
It's
Reiki and Sound at gmail.com. So
perfect. I'll write it
any
down in case anyone
oh,
wants
thank
to
you.
wants
Yeah, yeah.
to contact you. And Kausalya, thank you again so much. And so ありがとうございました。ありがとう。
Arigatou gozaimashita so
Bye
much.
bye.
It was
Thank
so
you.
wonderful. Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Thank you so much for listening. And thank you so much to Kausalya. If you'd like to keep exploring these topics with me, you can find me on Instagram or on my website. And if you want to dive deeper or learn more, all the links are in the show notes. I'll see you very soon for another episode, and in the meantime, take care. ありがとうございました。